Hi everybody. It's always a little bit weird doing a video of yourself talking. I'm just going to read out the lecture for today so that again, hopefully you guys can rewatch it, listen again and again, maybe without the video or with the video, whatever works best for you. Complementing that please with the readings from the color chapter. Please read it guys, because I can't stress enough, like once we start doing more clients, more color. Yes, I helped you last week with your formulations, but I want you to be able to tell me what the formulations are going to be, what the natural levels are, how you're going to achieve it, what volume of peroxide, etc., etc. So today we're going to start with just some of the basics. I know some of it's review, but again, I need to know that you guys know these things so that we can for sure proceed and have the best results possible. Okay. So as stylists, you need to understand at least the basics of color theory and the role it plays in working with the hair. And why is this? Simply put, color theory is the science that every single formula is based on. Whether you're lightening or coloring a client's hair, without color theory, it's impossible to know whether the finished product will match the client's expectations. The basics of color theory. So color theory is a term or a definition used to refer to the science of how color works. It explains what happens when you add multiple colors together or when you remove a tone or a hue from a color. In hair, color theory means much the same thing, only it applies obviously to hair. By understanding the color theory, you can preemptively understand what the client's hair will look like before you perform a service or a treatment. For example, how their original canvas will mix with the colors you introduce, or more importantly, what color tones will be left behind after you lift. This understanding will allow you to, one, manage your client's expectations, two, create a plan to get them from their starting point to their desired end goal. Number three, considered alternatives in the event that they change their mind. And number four, consider possible pitfalls or consequences to your treatment. Learning complementary colors is also important for balancing skin and eye tones with hair color. They can be found directly across from each other on the color wheel. This will greatly increase how you start to formulate glosses and know the difference between when warmer tones look better on someone's versus cooler tones. Cooler tones versus cooler tones. This is something that is often forgotten when we're simply looking at the hair alone. You must always look at the whole person. I take note of lifestyle, first of all, whether they're wearing a full face of makeup, what they do for a living, how they might present themselves out in the world. Like if you're talking to somebody and, you know, the trend a little while ago, you know, the silver hair or the gray cast, the blue hair, the purple shampoo, all of that works great on young girls, obviously, because they can carry the platinum and the toners, which have the gray and the tone. But when we were talking about people, you know, 30 and up, it's changing their skin tone as you get older and you become naturally gray. The pigmentation in your skin lessens as well. So if somebody's not wearing a full face of makeup every day, which most people don't, it's going to just make them look washed out. So you have to look at the whole picture, not just what's happening on the hair. Tips for mastering color theory. 1, become friends with the color wheel. Each picture that someone brings you as an inspiration for their hair has a tone to it. In order to achieve that tone, you will have to formulate properly, adding just the right color to the base canvas. To formulate properly, you must understand color theory. And in order to understand color theory, you must understand the color wheel. Simply put, you should reference the color wheel every time, every step of the way, from your hair consultation all the way to your actual formulation. Whether you are doing gray coverage, tonal shifting, tonal balancing, glossing, tint back, melting, smudging, or anything else, you need this basic understanding. Number 2, take your time. In learning color theory, it's important to go slow and go over each piece as many times as you need to truly get it. You will likely make mistakes, but everyone does that, and that's how you learn. Number 3, don't forget the hair's underlying pigmentation. All hair has underlying pigmentation that will affect your final outcome of your formula. And yet, analyzing pigmentation is something a lot of stylists forget to focus on. This can wreak havoc on your end result and leave you with a less than happy client. When you understand what these are and how to combat them, each formulation will come out better. This goes for all scenarios, from analyzing raw lift to avoiding brassiness in root colors. Taking underlying pigmentation into consideration will make or break your finish. And number 4, never stop learning. You will never stop learning or relearning color theory. There will simply always be a new situation that challenges you and requires you to learn something new. Never be afraid to go back to your roots and go over it all again. Keep a color wheel in the back room to remind you of your basics. You will be surprised how many times you look at this chart. I can't say this enough. I've been doing hair for 30 plus years and I still use a color wheel, and I will still use, now not most of the time, but I still use reference with my natural level swatches just to keep it fresh in your mind. But I'm always learning something different. There's something new in the environment, there's something new product wise, there's always something changing your results. So I can't say enough, strongly suggest you keep a color wheel, even if it's on your person and only you use it in the back room. So hair coloring product formulations. Hair coloring products are defined in 2 main categories, oxidative and non-oxidative. Oxidated hair coloring products are classified in 2 groups. Number 1 is a permanent, and number 2, a demi-permanent. Non-oxidative hair coloring products are classified in 2 groups, temporary and semi-permanent. Oxidation is when the chemical substances combine with oxygen. Oxidative hair coloring products are designed using oxidation as a necessary action to achieve hair coloring. Oxidative hair coloring products consist of a solution that contains dye intermediates, which when mixed with the developer creates a dye as the chemicals react within the hair shaft. Also contained in oxidative hair coloring products are preformed dyes. They are included in hair coloring products in predetermined amounts according to the shade that it is intended for the formulation. Hair coloring products also contain soaps, detergent, and conditioning agents. The coloring product is designed to mix with the developer, quote, hydrogen peroxide, right before the color application to the hair. The term The term hydrogen peroxide and developer are interchangeable and refer to the same additive. The applied mixture causes the hair to swell, and the dye intermediates and perform dyes penetrate the hair shaft and then have a chemical reaction. This is the reaction that forms the final color composition that will stain the hair. Let me just read that one more time. The applied mixture causes the hair to swell, and the dye intermediates and performed dyes penetrate the hair shaft and then have a chemical reaction. So just a little product overview. Permanent hair coloring products are designed to lift existing color and deposit product color. Permanent hair coloring products are used in coloring services for the following purposes: completely change one's color, to enhance one's natural hair color by brightening it or darkening it, or to cover gray. A demi-permanent hair coloring products are designed to only deposit. They may contain coal tar dyes that adhere to the hair shaft. Demi-permanent hair coloring products are not designed to lighten natural hair. Demi-permanent hair coloring products are used in coloring services for the following purposes: to refresh previously colored hair that has faded, to enhance one's natural color, to de-emphasize or blend gray hair so that it blends into the overall color, to use as a toner to chemically pre-lightened hair, or to use as a filler for a color corrective procedure. Temporary hair coloring products are used in coloring services for the following purposes: to change the color temporarily, to neutralize an undesired tone. And semi-permanent hair coloring products are used in coloring services to can be used as a toner to pre-lightened hair. It can be used when a short-term change is desired, as it generally only lasts 4 to 6 weeks. Semi-permanent hair coloring products are single products. They are not mixed with developer or peroxide. Demi-permanent hair coloring products are mixed with developer. So let's get into it just a little bit deeper. So the permanent hair coloring products, they're always mixed with the developer. Using a higher volume of developer creates more lightening results, and using a lower volume of developer creates less lightening. Simultaneously with the lightening action, color is deposited. Permanent hair coloring products are very versatile in that they can be used to match, darken, lighten, or color gray. Aniline derivatives are used in permanent hair coloring products, and there are 3 types. There's like 3 huge words. You'll never have to know them, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. So you just need to know that there are aniline derivatives, and there is 3 types of them. It's always suggested that a patch test is done 28 to 48 hours prior to application. In the real world, this never happens. If your client says she's sensitive, then I would do a patch test for sure. Other than that, it's suggested, very rarely performed. Colors develop when the aniline derivatives combine with the hydrogen peroxide. The dye is deposited into the cortex of the hair. This is the oxidation process. Oxidation is defined as to undergo or cause a chemical reaction with oxygen. Permanent hair coloring products are the best at dyeing of gray hair. They create a permanent change in the hair by lightening the existing natural color by removing color pigments. This is the primary reason they are also called permanent color, because of the permanent removal of natural pigment, i.e. lightened hair or previously lightened hair. Demi-permanent hair coloring products. They are oxidated. They require a developer. They only deposit color. They do not lighten. They are less alkaline than permanent hair coloring products, and they require a lower volume of developer. Many demi-permanent hair coloring products do not use hydrogen peroxide as the oxidizing agent, like with permanent hair coloring products. They do contain the same dyes as permanent hair coloring products, therefore require a patch test. Demi-permanent hair coloring products do not have the ability to decolorize the hair. These no-lift, deposit-only hair coloring products are great for a client's first color, blending gray to refresh permanent color that's faded, especially on the mid shaft and the ends, restoring natural hair color, correcting off tones on natural hair. They can only deepen or change the color. Demi-permanent color is a great choice for refreshing the hair shaft area and ends when performing a new growth hair service. It keeps the hair color built up to a minimum using this technique. Why put more peroxide on the mid shaft and the ends when you don't need it? So if they're coming in for a root touch, but yet it's slightly faded, you do the permanent on the root and then semi-permanent through the ends or the mid shaft and the ends. Temporary hair coloring products are non-oxidative. They do not require a developer. Temporary hair coloring products only coat the hair and are easily shampooed away. No chemical change in the hair occurs. There are various types of temporary hair coloring products in the marketplace and many new products evolving constantly. Some examples of these are a spray-on color, a shampoo color, liquid, which is a rinse, a mousse, a gel, the mascara, or a wand. Spray-on temporary color products wash out with one shampoo. It's used for many what looks like subtle to dramatic, from full coverage to foils and to designs. For dramatic designs, stencils can be used. It's a great way to add money to your existing bill. Shampoo temporary color products are simply used like regular shampoos. Obviously, you follow the label instructions for both use. The color molecules coat the hair. You can blow dry and style as usual. This one's great for kids or like a special occasion. The use of color shampoos are very popular to neutralize unwanted brassiness or yellow tones. The example is this is our purple shampoo, which is not a toner, super drying, and should never go to the client, but we'll revisit that later. Liquid temporary color products, also known as rinses, are applied to freshly shampooed hair. Generally, the rinse is applied after shampooing. Mostly, you wrap the hair to remove all the excess water before application. The hair should not be dripping. The hair must be able to be coated, and it cannot retain the rinse if it's already saturated with excess water. For full coverage, apply beginning at the hairline and comb through to the ends, applying more rinse as needed. Blow dry as desired. There are mascara temporary color products, and those are great for perfect placement and control. You can use around the hairline for gray blending or on new growth. It's used with a disposable wand. So I use this a lot actually because I'm a brunette and I have big patches of gray that happen here. So I use the Schwarzkopf spray on. I mean, you can use any. There's a L'Oreal one, there's a CoverGirl, there's tons of them. But I use it in here, or if I don't do that because I wear my hair up a lot, I'd have to color my temples at least every 2 weeks. So it does become a lifesaver. So to recap with just some terminology. Semi-permanent hair color are designed to fade over time. They often last about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how many times the hair is shampooed weekly. Semi-permanent hair color are not mixed with peroxide. They do not lift or lighten the natural hair color and only deposit color. A patch test. A patch test is also known as a predisposition test. The definition of predisposition is defined as the state of being predisposed or susceptible to something, especially to a disease or health problems. In this case, it refers to a client being predisposed to being allergic or sensitive to the aniline dye in the hair color product. Therefore, every color company recommends determining whether a client will have a negative reaction. You should perform the patch test 24 to 48 hours before an aniline hair coloring service. A reaction could present as signs of inflammation, rash, and welts. I do have a client that has this allergy. She is a brunette and has a lot of gray, but we can only gray blend. So it can only be done through highlighting and low lighting because you can't touch her scalp. So first of all, you got to be really good because you got to be able to get to the root, make it look like she doesn't have a root, but you also got to be able to not touch the root. Any touch, even just a touch, she welts and like her eyes will swell shut and her throat closes. So super, super sensitive. But again, I knew this going in, so we just have to be really, really, really meticulous about doing her highlights. But I'm sure she's not the only one. She's the only one that I have as a client, but I'm sure there's many people out there that have that allergy. So developer or hydrogen peroxide. The developer is what must be mixed with oxidative hair coloring products in order to create the chemical reaction needed to form and deposit color. Hydrogen peroxide also plays a part in the determination of the amount of lightening natural hair. Hydrogen peroxide is the oxidating agent that develops the hair coloring product, thus called the developer. When hydrogen peroxide is mixed with oxidative hair coloring products, it creates oxygen gas that in turn forms the chemical action that creates color molecules that change the color of the hair. Hydrogen peroxide is also available in different concentrations called volumes. The volumes is indicated on the label and refers to the concentration. Concentration is also referred to as the strength. The stronger the formula, the greater the amount of lightening that can be achieved. Developer is somewhat customizable, but there are specific limitations, scientifically speaking. Most hair color product companies design the permanent hair products to use 20 volume developer for normal application. 20 volume peroxide is always used for achieving gray coverage. must use natural pigmentation as your desired shade, depending on the amount of gray. So always use natural when you're covering gray, but you know, maybe you're making her copper. So half of the formula is copper and half of it's natural level, because she has 50% gray. So you want to half and half that formula. If it was somebody else that had 20%, then you only had 20% of the natural color to cover her 20% worth of gray. The rest will be your desired shade. Other volumes are used for various color application. 10 volume is used for deposit only applications. 20 volume is used for gray coverage, yet can give one level of lift. So suggest you adjust your color level. So I'm a natural level 4, but I color my hair a 5. In order to be darker, I add, so that I don't get a hot root, I add a little bit of a 4 in order to bring that root down on my natural color. We'll talk about this more when we start formulating. 30 volume is used for 2 levels of lightening. 40 volume can be used for a maximum desired lightening. Be careful, you will blow the cuticle and it's harder to move past the pale yellow fluorescent stage. When you use a higher volume, it'll get you lighter faster, but it'll keep you stuck in that pale yellow, the fluorescent color, longer. Hair lightener or bleach. Hair lightener, also known as bleach, work by decolorization of the hair. Bleaching products are designed to use with hydrogen peroxide as the developer. The oxidation process is required to achieve decolorization. When this action happens within the cortex of the shaft, it displaces and eliminates the melanin pigment, thus decolorizing the hair. You can control the decolorization by choosing the volume of developer and adjusting your process time. Hair lighteners are designed to lift the hair to lighter levels than what permanent hair coloring products can achieve. Bleaching is a very versatile tool and used for various purposes. Used to lighten natural hair, used to lighten previously colored hair, used to lighten isolated parts of the hair, used alone to achieve a color, used as the first step to achieve a level, and then you follow with a toner. Decolorization. The decolorization process begins immediately upon the application of a prepared lightening product. The colorist predetermines the level of color that he or she wants to remain in the hair. There is an invaluable tool for calculating decolorization. It's called the 10 degrees of decolorization. And the 10 degrees of decolorization chart is a representation the Cosmetic Art and Sciences uses to measure the amount of pigmentation remaining in the hair throughout the processing of bleaching the hair shaft itself. So that would be your, level 1 is red, and then red orange, and then all the way up to your pale yellows. That is your standard. So this is one of 2 lectures. Next week is a client day. We do have Christine. I'm not that I'm pointing you out. Everybody did fantastic. I'm very happy, pleasantly surprised, I can say. But Christine, you do have your client, I believe her name was Jen. She is coming back. She freaking loves it. But I believe she just feels in here is a little too light. So she is coming right at 3 for a toner. She works later that evening, so we have to put her right in. So I'm not sure if it's a toner, if maybe just a couple of low lights through here. We'll assess her when she comes. I just got the email, so I know that's happening right at 3 o'clock. Next week is client day again. I do know that we're booked, like I said. So make sure you bring all your equipment that you need. The following week, I need you to bring both your mannequins. We're going to do some color. We're also going to do a couple more haircuts. So with that being said, because it's a client day next week, I'm not sure, but I might upload the second lecture and just keep our theory on the video form so that, again, like you can replay it over and over again. You don't have to watch my face. You can just listen to it with your earbuds in, whatever works best for you. But definitely watch this a few times before next week, and we'll see if we can get some better results with our color formalizing. And yeah, have a good week. Make sure you read your color chapters. Okay, see you guys next week.